stupid, but also how incredibly racist. I mean, let's talk about the actual message here. Essentially, they're telling Mexican Americans included, because of course many Mexican Americans voted for Donald Trump in massive numbers. They're essentially telling those people that they're not real Mexicans unless they fall in line with the far leftist Democrat Party political view. That if you are a Latino and you support Trump, that you're now disqualified from celebrating your own heritage. Do these clowns even hear themselves? And the real implication is actually crystal clear. Latinos must vote Democrat or else. That is what they're saying. That's not progressive. That's not inclusive. That is disgusting racial gatekeeping, and it's the definition of this covert left-wing racism. It's so incredibly insulting, and also, it really doesn't pack the punch that they pretend it does. I mean, here's the irony. They're threatening all of these Trump supporters. I guess they're really targeting this at the white Trump supporter. You're not allowed to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. As if anybody cares. I mean, come on. Most Trump supporters don't care about Cinco de Mayo. Why would they? Oh no, I can't celebrate a foreign nation's Independence Day. What am I ever gonna do? I mean, that's the reality. It's a regional holiday that essentially got co-opted into a bar promo so businesses can get butts in the bar and increase their tequila sales. And honestly, it's almost as if these leftists don't even realize what they're saying. They're telling American citizens that they can no longer celebrate Mexican Independence Day as if that's some sort of crushing blow. It's not. It's idiotic. It's ignorant. It's racist to the Mexican Trump supporters, and of course, beyond anything else, it's absolutely cringe. They think that this is some kind of epic clapback. Oh, gotcha, maggots. But really, it's just more proof that these people are absolutely unserious. But let's continue to dig a little deeper and really continue to highlight the absolute idiocy of this kind of racial and moral grandstanding. Let's get to the real core of the issue here, the left's obsession with illegal migration. Because that's what this is really about, right? The idea is that if you're against illegal immigration, you hate Latinos. First of all, that's absolutely false. Nearly half of all American Latinos in the last election.
Get rid of your duplicate photos and videos.
19. 10.
Merch.
Would you like another
Voted for Donald Trump. That's millions of people. What's the claim that you leftoids are making? That these Latinos are self-hating? That they hate Hispanics and that's why they voted for Trump? It's completely idiotic. They don't hate Latinos. They're against open borders. And they're especially against the horrors of human smuggling and trafficking, the abuse of children, women being trafficked across the desert, cartels making billions upon billions of dollars, and the sheer lawlessness that then enters the country, which hits American streets and in some cases leads to horrific incidences, like what happened with Laken Riley. But then here comes the left again, pretending that they care about the poor migrants. But it's obviously a cheap, manipulative tactic, because every time I actually hear them talk about these migrants, they expose their actual true agenda. It's not about compassion, it's about cheap labor. We all remember when Nancy Pelosi told us we need illegals to pick crops.
We need them to pick the crops.
Or when Ozzy Osbourne's daughter said, well, Donald Trump, if you deport all the illegals, who's going to be cleaning your toilets?
Who is going to be cleaning your toilets, Donald Trump?
That was a classic. And actually, just to add to the leftist sentiment, we actually got a new example from none other than Charlemagne Dagaud, who hits us with this absolute big-brain take, saying that Donald Trump shouldn't deport illegal migrants, but rather, he should keep them in the country so we could use them for cheap labor to open up our own sweatshops instead of outsourcing to China.
Yes, sure, it sounds good in theory. Let's manufacture stuff in America, but it costs too much money to manufacture things in America. But does it have to?
I don't know if it costs too much.
But that's my point. It doesn't have to.
I think that that's a convenient lie that they tell us. I think you can manufacture things here. That people go, oh, a cell phone costs $30,000. I bet you $1 million it don't cost something.
That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Does it have to? They say that, right? Man, it's cost too much to manufacture in America. Does it have to? Why does it?
Well, it costs the companies. I don't know if it's going to cost the consumer.
Well, why does it cost the companies?
Because you got to pay people much larger wages than they're getting paid overseas. So if you brought all this manufacturing back to America, like in its factory jobs and its mass production, like, are you going to pay everybody $15 an hour, or are you going to pay them $45 an hour?
You know what you do. You build the manufacturers and stop the deportation. And you take the people that you're deporting and put them in those factories and pay them.
Well, no, but on the real, part of the problem is
That's not slavery. It's not exactly.
You build the factory and you take the people who actually want to work in those factories and put them away.
You want to find a way to build a place that can be functioning here. Simple.
But we also have to be real. Americans, for the most part, don't want those jobs.
Stop it. I don't subscribe to that. Stop it. That's bullshit rhetoric that they
Stop the voice, the people, and let them work. Holy freaking
Oh, yeah, we care so much about the poor migrants. No, you don't. You just use them. You just grandstand in an effort to guilt trip people into supporting your economic agenda. It's all cheap manipulation. That's what identity politics, racial politics always is. And here we have the left now using Mexican holiday in an attempt to gaslight people into supporting their political agenda. Absolutely cringe, sad, and pathetic. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
20. 6. Another card.
Really about 8:30. Already done real damage to our democracy.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh boy, this is just yet again another colossal embarrassment for the Democrat Party. I mean, talk about a serious Wow. First, we're seeing Democrats have to deal with this whole Christopher Collins situation and making an utter fool of himself in the party by scheduling a coffee date with an MS-13 member. It's now this situation with this Shri Kandahar character that's backfiring big time on the Democrats. This absolutely no-name Democrat bursts onto the scene looking like a freaking SNL character, making all kinds of noise, telling us he's leading an impeachment effort, an inquiry against the President of the United States. The whole thing was so bizarre, it felt almost like a parody.
This is Congressman Shri Kandahar.
There's a 7.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy. But defying the unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time to impeach Donald J. Trump.
And while this whole situation should have probably been treated as a full-on joke and tossed aside, Democrats, in their endless Trump derangement syndrome, didn't even take a moment to think any of it through. They just saw impeach Trump, and that's all they needed. They jumped on the damn bandwagon. I mean, that's the level of brain rot we're dealing with here. But then, just 1 week later, all of a sudden, Democrats start jumping the Shri ship, as now 3 co-sponsors have dropped off the bill, as it turns out that this Shri character isn't exactly so squeaky clean, and how it's coming back to haunt the Democrats. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so Shri Kandahar goes from impeachment hero, Democrat punchline in 1 week. He comes out and bursts onto the scene. Donald Trump, I will impeach you!
20.
But 1 week later, this is a headline that pops up. TV payment relief. Volkswagen Clear Lake is offering 4 months, no payments, Free House Democrats pull names from co-sponsorship of Shri Kandah's Trump impeachment bill. Jerry Nadler, Robin Kelly, and Kwesi Mafume all pulled their names from the articles of impeachment. And this is rare. Democrats not all being aligned on something like impeachment, especially heading into the midterms. I mean, what could possibly be wrong here? And well, the issue is the truth is finally coming out. See, it turns out tethering yourself to the Shri character is not exactly a good look. First off, we got one element. So as is now being reported, Shri is allegedly sitting on $800,000 in campaign debt, and the claim is a lot of this money he paid out of his own pocket. And now the allegation is that he's actually just using this impeachment stunt to fundraise off of it so he can pay himself back.
We looked into Shri Kandahar, and what I discovered is that Shri Kandahar has nearly $800,000 of debt on his FEC record, according to the most recent filings that were just filed not too long ago. He originally started out with a debt of negative $1.2 million, and he's been working down this debt. Look at that. It says investment income loss. So what is he trying to do? He's saying that he self-funded a lot of this money for his campaign, but he's trying to reimburse himself for donations to his campaign. This is a scam. He's trying to raise money for his congressional campaign to get out of debt, which is why he's launching these impeachment articles against President Trump, and why he did it the day before President Trump came to Michigan. Because he's hoping that a lot of stupid Democrats out there are going to be like, oh, this Indian is actually going to impeach Donald Trump, but in reality, that Indian scammer is going to take your money, and he's going to put it back into his own pocket after he reimburses himself for his investment income loss. First of all, you don't invest in a campaign, you donate to a campaign. You don't get your investment back. You invest into a campaign because that's not how campaigns work. That's actually a violation of campaign finance laws, right? That's why Ron DeSantis got in trouble, if you recall, because he was calling his campaign donors investors as exposed during the presidential campaign. So the fact that he's calling it investment income loss, in my opinion, is grounds for him to be investigated for campaign finance fraud.
Yeah, it seems like Sri Thingadar saw the Adam Schiff act blueprint, and he said to himself, "Don't need the money. Scream about Donald Trump and watch the dollars roll in." Yeah, not exactly a good look. Either this guy is trying to fundraise off of this ridiculous little stuntster, or he's doing what the rest of these Democrats are trying to do, noticing a power vacuum in the party and attempting to fill that void. But I don't know about you guys, something tells me Sri for President 2028 isn't exactly cutting it. But anyways, associating yourself with this guy is obviously just a bad look, especially as his 2018 scandal is now resurfacing. So allegedly, Mr. Sri here owned a testing lab that went belly up, and when the lab went defunct, supposedly this guy left behind abandoned over 170 animals, many of which were actually rescued in horrifying conditions.
Sri Thingadar is responding to new reports regarding a company he owned 8 years ago that's now bankrupt. The allegations involve mistreatment of 170 dogs and monkeys used for testing of new drugs. The company, Anaclin Preclinical Services, used the animals to test drugs prior to FDA approval. Thingadar told 7X News last week that the testing was for side effects and that the animals began higher blood pressure and some rash. Thingadar says the animals were not abandoned. He says they were fed and cared for by staff. But he also claims his attorneys went to court with a motion to have those animals sold as assets to lower his company's debt.
We rescued 120 beagles from a lab in New Jersey that had gone out of business. And some friends of ours, the Animal Rights Organization in New York City, went and freed them and said, you need to do something with these animals. These are animals that don't understand their being as all these is. And you know, 120 animals that are on this road, so I have an opportunity to be free.
Well, he was shaking and hiding in the car, and when I picked him up, his heart was beating really fast. He was scared, so I just put myself on the ground and let him come over to me little by little.
Animal welfare workers think animals were totally abandoned, and at one point he declared them as assets and tried to auction them off to cover his own financial losses. So yeah, I guess we're starting to get a decent picture here. We're starting to understand if Democrats are suddenly backing off anything that this guy touches. This guy's not a hero. He's not a whistleblower blowing the whistle on the Trump regime and the various crimes that President Trump has committed. He's not the next Democrat star. No, he might actually just be a scam artist trying to cash in on impeachment while the Democrat Party around him completely freaking implodes. What a complete clown show. But obviously, this is what happens when your party has no leadership, no direction. They are in such disarray, it's such utter dysfunction. It's total amateur hour at the DNC. The party has no vision, and there's certainly no talent leading them towards a vision, towards a direction.
Madam, what can I do for you?
And so what we have here is a dysfunctional circus filled with a bunch of clowns, desperate weirdos chasing Edwards.
Certainly. What's your destination?
Nobody's trying to make a name for themselves by attacking Trump, attempting to seek that pathetic 5 minutes of fame. This is what the Democrat Party has become, a broken political establishment, grasping at straws. They've got nothing. I mean, just think about it. Impeachment? Really? Again? That's how you know there's no leadership, and the fact that top Democrat leaders, many House members, actually jump behind this clown shows you just how pathetic the state of affairs for this party really is. Another...
Do the truth. You got to be fucking retarded to be a fucking Democrat. Sorry for saying it like that there, but it is what it is. You gotta be a Democrat rat. You gotta be a rat.
Hello.
Be a Democrat. And I know a lot of y'all ain't no rats. It's just that y'all can talk to be stupid. It is what it is.
Avon called. He wants us to come back to the facility so he can show us something, you know. Clifford's gone through the data we recovered and found something, apparently. We just need to do one last thing, and the money is ours. We're so close to that payday I can taste it. Anyway, round up the crew if you like, and meet us in planning when you're ready.